kids aren't doing that, but I would beg to say that most kids do talk to older kids like that on there, especially Facebook. My husband didn't want my girls' pictures on Facebook. He didn't allow it for years. And he just felt not comfortable with their pictures up and people saying, oh, he got all over them for saying where they lived. You shouldn't say where you live. People, you know, he just doesn't understand it. He's really does not like Facebook at all. And I think it has some merit to it if it's used responsibly, but we know that there are people out there that are predators, and we know that kids use it for the wrong reasons, such as bullying and harassing, because it is some place where they're not face-to-face and they feel like they have a little more power. But definitely try to get to know your kids' online friends. I know a mother that actually, one of my daughter's friend's mom, that got on the Facebook about every other day and went through her friends and talked to them to make sure that everything was good, just to touch base and make sure there wasn't anything bad going on. And this protecting personal privacy, and you have to explain that really nothing is private, especially if you put it on the internet. And what this means is that our kids are actually leaving digital footprints. And everything is searchable. Anonymity is a complete myth. There is now a permanent record of all kids' explorations with implications that kids can't predict or control. If kids aren't cautious, the digital footprints can damage their future reputations, but at the same time, these footprints can also help people understand all the wonderful things about your child if it's used correctly. But it does leave a digital footprint. It can be traced, and that's something that we need to let those bullies know, that they think it's completely anonymous. It is not. It is traceable. And West Virginia law has stepped up, and the punishments are going to be a little more severe, plus the fact that if they're a minor, their parents can also be in trouble. It's not just the kid. I see you're an officer here in the county.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any information on that part of it? And that's something you probably have had to deal with.
Yeah, I have. A lot of it. The big problem here is it has to be a repetitive thing.
Yes.
In order for us to actually get involved. And for the most part, and I know there's way more going on than what we're actually told about, but you know, for the most part, if we're involved with something, it stops fairly quickly.
That's good to know. That is. That's really good to know. But you're right, and you said exactly what I have said earlier, that it has to be repetitive,
Right.
Intentional and repetitive. That's why it's so important to save every single thing that you have on Facebook, any kind of instant messaging, emails, pictures through the phone, text messages. All of those are records that your child is being bullied. And what I would do first, if my child was being bullied in that way, I would go to that kid's parents first. Because that parent may not know. I wouldn't want to take it to the law if I didn't have to. But if that parent doesn't know that this is going on, they need to know, and maybe that will stop it. But if not, then all of those records do need to be taken to your local law, your authorities there, because they can then investigate it and do something about it. But I've got a handout I'm going to give you in a few minutes, and it actually has step-by-step instructions of how someone can download their information off of Facebook to save it, and then some other things about going on Facebook and blocking and reporting abuse and all of those things. When a child gets a Facebook account, they think automatically that it is a private setting, but that may not be the case. It may be public, and they don't know that it's already public. So they must go on Facebook, and kids are so much more technologically savvy than I am, but they know how to do all those things and get on there and set up their privacy setting. It's very easy. It's right on the Facebook page, and I learned how to do it myself, so it's not very difficult. They have to keep their passwords private. They can't tell their best friend, because that best friend may not be their best friend in 2 days. And that will wreak all kinds of havoc. So they have to keep passwords private. But what's the school's role in all of this? I will tell you that Mr. Riley has already been on top of this the entire school year. He's talked to me numerous times. It's his main focus in the school and the school climate that it is a bully-free school. And I really do see that in the kids for the most part. I really see them living that. And I think you've had police officers in doing presentations. They've done things, character education. I came up Friday and did a presentation. And he's very, very committed to that. Provide supervised, filtered, and monitored environments. Let me tell you something on that one. Mr. Riley's going to find this out next week when we do a different training. But there's a new discipline management system that the school systems are going to be using starting next year. And what's wonderful about it is when a teacher puts in some type of a discipline incident, and they say it was in the far south hallway, they can put down where it happened, and this will go on for a few weeks. Then Mr. Riley can actually pick up, bring that up, create the chart. It just does it instantly for him, and it shows him what behavior incidents happened at what time, where they happened, what kids were committing them the majority of the time, and now he knows, okay, this hall is not supervised the way I need it to be, and he can fix that. He knows the time of day, and if it's not a time of day during lunch, then these kids are getting out of class or something, and he knows I can fix that. And then third, it's the same kids over and over, then you know who to target to do some intervention. So I think that would be a wonderful tool for Mr. Riley to use next year. And with the new policy 4373, which is our new expected behavior in safe and supportive schools, which was our student code of conduct, it'll go right along with that. So he'll be in good shape. Teach technology as an educational tool. I've seen them here the 2 days that I've been here lately on those computers. They are supervised and they're doing educational things on there, such as acuity and writing roadmap. I know they're doing that, and I was very impressed with that. Educate on how to be good cyber citizens. We're trying. We're trying. Everybody's trying, and that's what you're here for too, is to try to help as community members and parents to educate our teens and our adolescents on how to be good cyber citizens. And then, Mr. Riley, I'm sure you have some kind of acceptable use policy here as well.
Yeah, we do.
What is the law? Obscene, anonymous, harassing, and threatening communications by computer penalty. It is unlawful for any person with the intent to harass or abuse another person to use a computer to make contact with another without disclosing his or her identity with the intent to harass or abuse, make contact with the person after being requested by the person to desist from contacting them, threaten to commit a crime against any person or property, and that means actually threaten them, cause obscene material to be delivered or transmitted to a specific person after being requested to stop it. For purposes of this section, obscene material means an average person applying contemporary adult community standards would find, taken as a whole, appeals to the prurient interest, is intended to appeal to the prurient interest, or is, now that doesn't make any sense, does it? It really doesn't. An average person applying contemporary adult community standards would find that in a patently offensive way, sexually explicit conduct consisting of an ultimate sexual act, normal or perverted act, so anything that's sexual, a reasonable person would find taken as a whole lacks literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. It is unlawful for any person to knowingly permit a computer under his or her control to be used for any other purpose prohibited by this section. And any offense committed under this section may be determined to have occurred at the place at which the contact originated or the place at which the contact was received or intended to be received. In other words, you let somebody else use your computer. It's going to come up on that student's computer. But I don't think that person's going to take the fall for the other one. So, any person who violates the provision of this section is guilty of a misdemeanor, and upon conviction thereof shall be fined not more than $500 or confined in a county or regional jail not more than 6 months, or both. Now, for a second or subsequent offense, the person is guilty of a misdemeanor and upon conviction thereof shall be fined not more than $1,000 or confined in a county or regional jail for not more than 1 year or both.
That's not for adults.
Right.
Okay? But when we have children that are doing the bullying, and we have a prosecuting attorney who will not prosecute the kids, my child was set on fire, and she will not do anything. So I understand the law and everything, and when it comes to adults, that's fine, but how am I supposed to tell my child, okay, you've been set on fire, but I don't want you to retaliate and go do anything to the bullies that have done this to you?
Right, I can understand your frustration. I really can. You mean physically was caught on fire?
Yes, he was physically set on fire.
And did anything come out of that?
She's had the juvenile petitions on her desk since the 30th of January and has done nothing. And other than filing a complaint with the judiciary system, there's nothing more I can do. He's been held out of school. He has a homebound teacher for now, but he's not allowed to go to school because of all the bullying that he's suffered. You know, he's almost 16 years old, and he's mentally handicapped. He has autism. So, I mean, I understand the law as it refers to an adult,
right,
but when you have children that are bullying other children, we've got a problem.
Yeah, and was this a minor that was doing the bullying?
It was a middle schooler, yeah. And since it didn't happen within the school, then there's nothing that the school can do.
Yeah, so
No, it all falls on our prosecuting attorney. But what it is, there's no consequences to their actions.
Mm-hmm.
If they're not going to be in trouble, and I mean, I've contacted the law, they've done everything they can do, and it's sitting on the prosecuting attorney's desk along with 16 others, and she will not do anything. So therefore, to the kids, they can do whatever they want to get by with it.
Well, it certainly looks that way. I mean, that's the way it would appear. But I would not sit by idly. I would still, every day I would be in that office.
It doesn't do me any good.
I would be.
Right, Circuit Judge.
I've already wrote it. I've got a complaint with the Judiciary Council. She had 20 days to answer my complaint. If she failed to do so, they're going to give her another 20 days. If she fails to answer anything then, they'll subpoena her in Charleston.
And her son's a nice child, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. You're doing everything right. You are. You're doing everything right. You're using the legal system as you should. Why it's being held up like that, I don't know.
Like I said, the problem is, you know, my child knows if I get in trouble at school, then I'm going to get the corner when I get home, or you know, I'm going to be punished in some way. But you've got these bullies that, you know, their parents don't give a hoot one way or the other, so therefore when they go home, they don't get any kind of, you know, disciplinary action at all. And then law enforcement, they can only do so much. The prosecuting attorney's not doing anything.